Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. Today I'm going to talk about the intuitive aspects of YouTube and building your online business by feeling into that which needs to be felt into. I wanted to spread out today and share what really matters to me and share one of the most powerful tools that I can offer you today, which is tapping into your intuition for your online business and for your YouTube channel. Okay, so welcome into everybody who's joining me live, and welcome to all of you watching the replay. So today we're going to talk about your intuition. We're going to talk about where strategy fits into all of this, when strategy should be considered. And I'm also going to talk about my own personal favorite kind of intuitive practices and methodologies. And I'm going to give you my method for feeling your way through YouTube success. And I guess a good place for us to start is quantifying what is YouTube success in my book, so that we understand what we're talking about here. Because a lot of people think YouTube success looks like Mr. Beast. Some people think YouTube success looks like something like what I've got, 400 something thousand subscribers or whatever. So I want you to, first of all, before we go any further, to make sure that you have in your mind a clear definition of what success looks like for you on YouTube. That's really important. We don't want to get stuck in the trap of comparing our channels and our life's work to other people's stuff. For instance, if I was using the goalpost of Mr. Beast, or I was comparing myself to Mr. Beast, I'd be a YouTube failure, But Mr. Beast has a completely different goal than I do. Mr. Beast is trying to make videos that are really bombastic, really loud, really speaking to a general population. So I'm not going to be comparing myself to Mr. Beast. I can only compare my own success to what it means to me to be successful. And I'm just going to give you my own definition of what YouTube success is for me as somebody who teaches about online business. My definition of YouTube success is if I'm creating things that I'm really proud of. That's number one. If I'm creating things I'm really excited about, that's number two. If I'm creating things that are really helpful to those people that need the help that I'm talking about, that's number three. And then all the other stuff that comes after it is kind of icing on the cake. Number four, the really important one that I also teach about here, is being able to create a life of sufficiency with our YouTube channel. Sufficiency meaning always having way more than enough money and resources than you need, so you don't have to worry about money. Okay, so that's my personal definition of success on YouTube. Welcome in Tweak Music Tips. Oh, I don't think your mic is connected. It sounds like your camera, computer microphone. Thank you, Tweak Music. And it's funny that Tweak Music is the one. Yeah, I think you're right, Tweak Music. Let me see here. Edit mic settings. Thanks for that. Let's see here. Audio. Well, you're right. How about now? Is that better, Tweak Music? Let me know if that's better. Can you guys hear me okay? How's my mic? Let me know if that sounds better, Tweak Music. It's always nice to have an audio person in the crowd. I'm going to assume that that's better. Tap, tap. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so intuitive method for building our channel. I wanted to talk about this because there's two kinds of business teachers that I'm sure you've seen on the internet, especially here on YouTube. And it's those teachers that talk a lot about strategy, and they've got, thumbnails with arrows pointing to graphs, and they talk about keywords, and they talk about niches, and they talk about the best kind of thumbnail, situation. So there's plenty of people on YouTube talking about all the strategies and the doodads. I hope that you guys have noticed I don't talk about strategy all that much on my channel. And I'm not saying that those teachers are wrong. I'm just saying I personally don't enjoy those kinds of strategies. I don't enjoy the strategy of tinkering around with the surface level nonsense, because I think it's a waste of time. I honestly do. I think there's only so much twister we can play with the keywords and the niches and the stupid little strategies, and it doesn't really do us any good. And the deeper aspect to all of this, I think, it gets cheapened when we do those things. And I think when we really get under the work and we really are doing our deep work, we can feel into success. We can feel into what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. We can also feel into, even if I did a bunch of keyword research and I went on vidIQ and I typed in a bunch of keyword optimization strategies and twisted myself into a million pretzels to make the perfect headline, but it didn't really feel right to me. I don't care what vidIQ says my title should be. If I want to name my video How to Feel Into YouTube Success, that's what it's going to be called, God damn it. And it's my life's work. My video titles are up to me. Your video titles are up to you. It's no different than going to a publisher and saying, here's what I want to call my book. Now, sometimes a publisher might say, you should probably name it something different. That book title that you have is terrible. But there are many authors who, who stick to and honor their title of their book because it's really important to their life's work. Let's get back on track with intuition, the intuitive method for building your YouTube channel. So I don't talk about strategy so much because I don't really believe those strategies matter. I don't believe that strategy, keywords, the little manipulative kind of games and AI tools and all the things that there are plenty of people on YouTube teaching about, I don't believe those things work. Not really, not truly. And I don't believe they're sustainable because they suck the joy out of the whole process. So I'm going to give you just kind of the framework just right now. I'm just going to lay it all out for you. And then we're going to get into the deep dive of how to use your intuition and feel into YouTube success. I wonder if you guys can feel already that feeling into YouTube success, I hope that you can feel the lightness in that idea already, right? There's like a lightness to it. You can truly feel your way into and through your online business, your products and services, and your YouTube channel. So the overarching framework of feeling into your YouTube channel success, and something that I haven't seen anybody talk about really, though I haven't seen anybody talk about it, though those acquaintances that I have that are doing well on YouTube, all of us do this, but we just have it come so natural to us that it seems so, we just take it for granted, or at least most other people do. But what's really happening behind the scenes of most YouTube success stories is you're feeling into something bigger than just the surface level mind stuff. So you're feeling into your life's work. You're feeling into your place in the divine design of this whole thing. Sorry for those of you who are more secular and very anti-woo. This episode is probably going to be kind of woo, okay? But you're feeling into your place in the divine design of all of this, right? You're feeling into what gives you energy. You're feeling into what would be helpful. You're feeling into what's a contribution. You're feeling into what is super exciting for you to talk about. You're feeling into what's buzzing with energy. You're feeling into what feels the best. And if you honor those things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, I hope you can see that there's like an opening that happens. Even as I'm talking about it, there's an opening that happens. So what happens for a lot of people, I'm just going to walk through the typical kind of life cycle of somebody who wants to start a YouTube channel and they're struggling to make it work. And they're not busting through like 50 views a video. They're like, nobody's watching my videos. And they're wondering why that's happening. So, and before I do that, let me just take a minute to pop in the chat. I absolutely feel that lightness. Yes, thank you, Busy Dreamer. And the Busy Dreamer, that's like the perfect handle for somebody who should be at a session called Feeling into YouTube Success, because I can tell that you're a feeler. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of this later. Absolutely. I know it's Thanksgiving for a lot of people here in the US. So I know that some of you guys might have to cut out early. My channel is about motivating others to to go for their dreams. And this last week, I've reached so many more people. That's amazing. Big, huge applause for the busy dreamer. Love the woo. Okay, great. Okay, great, Valentina. Great. Okay, so so here's a life cycle of somebody who's trying to start YouTube and what usually happens. So the first thing that happens is you sit down, and by the way, for those of you who are a little bit newer to me, I've been doing YouTube for 15 years and I've changed multiple genres, and the rules apply no matter what you're talking about. Okay. So over the last 2 years, I've been teaching online business, and I've been getting intimately familiar with you guys and feeling into what your biggest struggles are. And here's how the journey typically goes for people who are new to YouTube. So you come to the blank page of a YouTube channel and you're feeling very overwhelmed. And your first question, one of the main questions that many people have when they first start is, how do I do this? What's the right way to do YouTube? What should I talk about? What should my video topics be about? What should I title my videos? And these are really good questions to ask. There's nothing wrong with these questions. But I find that most people who have a hard time with YouTube, they get stuck in that mind stuff. And they get stuck in the questions, and they get stuck in the how do I do this? And they get stuck in what's called the figure outer. Now, when you're stuck in the figure outer, what ends up happening for a lot of us, especially those of us who are drawn to doing our life's work, we tend to be overachievers, which is fine. It's all fine. We tend to also be big thinkers, right? But then we get into this perfectionist mode, and we have this idea in our mind of what we want this to do for us, what we want the outcome to be, how it should look, how it ought to look. And then once again, we get stuck in the mind stuff. It's a whole lot of thinking and almost zero feeling. Now, if we flip that upside down, or what I'll say right side up, is there's nothing wrong with those questions. It's fine to ask those questions. But what the first invitation I'm going to give to you today is, let go of trying to figure out how to do it right and go all the way into what feels the most joyful today. The truth of the matter is, YouTube is actually a way of life. It's been a way of life for me since 2009. And that way of life is every day when you come to the blank slate, you're asking, who can I help? What can I talk about that's helpful? What can I talk about that gives me energy? And the answer to that is going to be a little bit different all the time. It's going to be constantly changing. So feeling into that, feeling into the energy, what brings you excitement? What brings you joy? What brings you the sense of freedom and openness? That right there is a really, really good place to start. That's the first invitation. So if you're watching this, and all of you who are here now, if you're at all feeling a little bit scared or hesitant about your channel, or confused or overwhelmed about YouTube in general, if you move all the way into asking, what's going to give me the most energy today? What feels super exciting to talk about? What would I be thrilled to talk about? What would be so helpful to those people that I'm talking to? I hope you can see, again, there's an opening here. You're going to see a theme here today of an opening. And that applies also to not just the YouTube stuff, but to your life's work, right? So there's like a ninja aspect to all of this, where one of the other reasons that I'm surprised, I'm even surprised in my own life of what I'm able to teach when I'm teaching about YouTube, is I'm able to teach not just about YouTube, but about the deeper aspects of agency, creative depth, sovereignty. So when you come every day to the YouTube, the blank slate of YouTube, and you're feeling into what would bring me so much joy, and what would really be helpful to my people today, if it's 100 people, 500 people, 50 people, if you take care of that question and you feel into in your body what gives you a sense of opening like this, that's your GPS for YouTube. It's very simple. So I have some friends who, I've had friends throughout the years who also do YouTube. Some of them some of them to great success. Some of them it's just more of a hobby. But those videos of theirs that do really well tend to be the videos that they're really excited about, tend to be the videos that are that make them feel like that, like an opening, you know? I got my intuition from what I am passionate about. I get my intuition from what I'm passionate about. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good guidepost for, you know, those things that give us energy, those things that bring us a lot of joy. That's a really good pointer for what, you know, what the right direction is. That is basically, a lot of people wait around for a sign. Should I do this or should I do that? When you can simply take a look in your body and say, what's calling to me? What's pulling me? You know, I got caught up on what my joy is versus having products and services available that line up with what I want to talk about. I'm caught in the cycle of creating and then losing the passion thread. Okay, that's a great one, Reel. So, and that's apropos to what we're talking about. So I get caught up on what my joy is versus having products and services available that line up with what I want to talk about. I think this is a really good kind of dovetail into not just YouTube, but all of it. All of it, right? So if we take like 5 giant steps back from our business and we ask the question and we feel into what is the key transformation that I'm offering to my people, right? What is the key transformation I'm delivering to my customers? I like to keep the language as non-businessy as possible at first. So I don't even use the word customers. I just use so that I'm figuring out where I'm positioning myself in the world. Okay. So that way we take all the attachment out of it. Your ego's completely out of it. If you ask sincerely, what is the key transformation I want to leave the world? It's nice and big and cozy and comfortable. It doesn't go like this. When we start using the word customers, then our business ego brain wants to get in there. So what is the key transformation I want to leave the world, or I'm going to be offering the world? Feeling into what really opens us up on that. Okay. Now, once we have that, we can sincerely come to creating the videos, the products, and the services that honor that and that feel in alignment with that initial feeling. Here's how it works for me. And the method, more or less the method, is once you discover that initial transformation, whatever that might be, doesn't matter what your business is, what is the key transformation you're offering the world? There's a feeling in there that you're, gonna feel. Maybe an openness, maybe a solidness, maybe joy, maybe just a suchness. For me, when I know I'm on the right track, when there's a little bit of a tingle and it feels really peaceful. There's a lot of peace. There's almost no resistance. And that's exactly the same feeling, oddly enough. This is why it's beautiful. That same feeling is exactly how I feel about any other project in my business. And if it doesn't feel peaceful and it doesn't have that smooth, everything's running smoothly in my body, I can tell it's not a fit. Same thing for video concepts, same things for email topics. That same feeling that came with the seed of the transformation that I'm committed to, that same feeling tone, that intuitive feeling tone is now guiding the rest of the feeling into YouTube. So there's certain topics that I could shoehorn into this channel. I could be talking about strategy, but it wouldn't feel at all that peaceful feeling that I feel when I think about my key transformation that I'm offering to my customers. When I'm thinking about, like, for instance, today, this impromptu live, I thought, would it be nice to talk about intuition in YouTube? And I had that same feeling of peace wash over my body. There was no resistance to it. And that's how I know green light. Cool. Okay. So that's more or less the methodology. And it was right on time that Reel asked that question. But that's how it works for me. And that intuitive feeling, can we call it flow? Yeah, you can call it whatever you like. You can call it whatever you like. ULS Grant calls it the secret self. Christians call it the Holy Spirit. Every spiritual and theological kind of sect has their own word for it. Flow is nice, and whatever you'd like to call it, absolutely. Some people, the secular people, might want to call it inspiration. Doesn't matter what you want to call it. I like just energy, where the energy is taking you, where the feeling tones are taking you. Okay. So let me see. Real says, I totally get it. It's so simple and making it so complicated. Okay. And so, yeah, let's talk about that. Because feeling into YouTube success, I'm going to try to not, this whole live stream might ruin my whole career, because by the end of it, I'm sure I'm going to sound like a raving lunatic. But in truth, here's the God's honest truth. YouTube is simultaneously the easiest thing you'll ever do, like the most simple thing you'll ever do, and simultaneously, it is probably the most challenging thing you'll ever do. Maybe not the most challenging thing you'll ever do, but it's very challenging. Now, the challenging part is not all the stuff that you have to do to make a successful YouTube channel, like filming, writing, speaking in front of a camera. Those things aren't really all that hard. I'm doing it right now. I'm moving my mouth. I've clicked a couple things to get this to you. That's not the hard part of YouTube. Truth be told, it's not the hard part of online business. We're moving our mouths and we're typing a little bit. The hard part is what Real just said. We overcomplicate things, we self-sabotage, we get in our own way, and the ego creates all these massive concrete slabs where there don't need to be concrete slabs. We overthink things like I've worked with some people this year, some business owners this year, who have so many gifts and talents. They have excellent ideas, but something as simple as, what should I title? I don't know what to title my channel. I don't know what to call my channel. So they've held off creating a YouTube channel that could have already gotten them $10,000 or more in passive income, because they don't know if they should call their channel Joseph Smith, the woodworker. I'm just, that's not a real person, but just as an example, they don't know what to name their channel. This isn't an actual question that your soul, deep down, it doesn't matter. Deep down, who cares what the channel is called? You could call it like Blonde Sundoll for MJ, like Trisha Paytas. It doesn't matter what you call your channel. This is the ego getting in there. I call it the gremlin. So does Rick Carson, the originator of the idea of anthropomorphizing the ego and calling it the gremlin. The gremlin gets in there, creates a whole bunch of obstacles where we don't need obstacles. So I would like to just lay out the simple truth about YouTube. It has nothing whatsoever to do with keywords. I've never once researched a keyword, except for out of curiosity. I went on to vidIQ once to see what vidIQ thought about the keywords or the title that I used on my most popular videos. Guess what? They weren't great titles according to vidIQ. It has nothing whatsoever to do with anything AI, prompts, written scripts, relying at all on AI to do our life's work. It's not going to work. It has nothing whatsoever to do with anything complicated. There's nothing complicated about YouTube. So the invitation number 2 that I'm going to offer is to completely let go of anything about YouTube that might be giving you a tight feeling in your chest. Anything that you've been hearing about that makes you feel like you have to get all up in here and overthink things. Anything about that you've learned about YouTube that requires you to feel anything except for just complete and total, bliss, and maybe some discipline, maybe some, I'm not telling you that you're not going to have to show up and work some, but the work that you're going to be doing, it's very simple, very peaceful, and you're going to enjoy it because it's part of your life's work. So you don't have to twist yourself into a million different pretzels to try to please the algorithm for YouTube. In fact, the more that you do that, the less you're going to succeed on YouTube. Because YouTube is more, this is invitation number 3. YouTube is more an expression of your joy and your expertise to the world. So it's a confluence of taking what you're joyful about, what you're really passionate about, and what helps people, and putting it out into the world. And that's really simple. So turning a camera on, doing your daily, your daily pages, writing out something a little bit every day, getting in front of the camera and speaking with a sincere heart after scripting some stuff. For more resources on that, go to brendaturner.com/gifts. And then speaking from the heart and sincerely offering your solutions to the world. Very simple. And then pushing upload. And then letting it go and saying, okay, this no longer belongs to me. It belongs to whoever it's meant to help. It's going to help 50 people or 100 people or whatever. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is the false premise that a lot of technical YouTube teachers talk about. And that's view counts and basically that, view counts, statistics, getting into the studio dashboard and taking a look at all your statistics and all the split testing and all of the strategy. Again, all the strategy that doesn't do anything for our YouTube success. The false premise that views are at all some kind of measure of success, or that views are the penultimate measure of success. And that if we chase views through manipulating certain, once again, strategies, that is the key to success. Here's my invitation to you, number 4, I think it is. If you completely let go, this is going to sound like a koan, and I'm so sorry, I don't mean for it to sound like a koan, but it is. If you completely let go of worrying at all about the views, and you become obsessed with how helpful or how sincere or how natural or how effortless you might sound, or the kind of video you might make, if you just focus all the way on creating content that you're really proud of, that sounds really good, that's really helpful, that's just as excellent as you can make it. We're not Michael Bay here. Certainly not Michael Bay. I'm certainly not a Tony Robbins or whatever, but I just always am doing my best to do my best. So if you do your best to do your best, that's going to yield excellent YouTube videos. They're going to get better and better and better and better and better. So if we completely let go of, and please stop clicking on videos that are like, this will blow up your channel in 2025. This will blow up your channel in 2026. I personally don't want to blow up my channel. I don't care about blowing up my channel. If the video said something like, and I clicked on this video last year, I wish I could remember his name. I'm subscribed to him and I'm so sorry I can't remember his name, but he's a cinematographer. And the video said, consume like an artist, consume content like an artist, and create like an artist. Those are the titles I want to click on. I'm not interested in blowing up my channel. I'm not interested in teaching you how to blow up your YouTube channel. There's something so much deeper about YouTube. This is why I was just saying I'm probably going to get like 10,000 unsubscribes, but there's something so much deeper about YouTube. And I know that sounds so airy-fairy and maybe so pretentious, but all of you guys, there's something so much deeper underneath the surface of your work and my work, of our YouTube videos. There's something so much deeper under there that wants to come forward. And it's actually really magical. And to take all of your beautiful work, your ideas, your solutions, your essence, your soul, your ideas, and to parboil it all down to this one little tiny thing called views and subscriber numbers, and say that that's what matters most. It's like an affront to divinity itself. It's like an affront to the magic of what's actually happening here. It's a huge pet peeve of mine. It's like we've taken one of the things I love about YouTube is that all the things I just shared, that I can watch beautiful teachers like you guys share your gifts and your talents and your solutions and your spirit and your soul and your personality and all this stuff. And it's taking all of that, and we've kind of commoditized the whole thing. And I'm just so counter to that. So I'm really a champion of you feeling into what it is you're put here to do. Really feeling into what your soul wants you to express in this lifetime. Really feeling into what actually matters to you. And that's going to change throughout the course of your YouTube career. So, hi, Brendan. Just wanted to say thanks. I took the advice and gave in your unscripting video on how to talk on the camera, and did my first video with my face on nearly after 2 years of posting on YouTube. I'm so glad to hear that, Weird Princess. Everybody go check out her video. Huge round of applause for Weird Princess. I'm really proud of you, and I'm so glad to hear that. And Real says, this is exactly what I needed to hear. I'm so glad, Real. I recommend you all check out Brenda's Nidra guided meditation. Hey, Mendy. I use it every night before falling asleep. Thanks, Mendy. That's a whole other aspect of feeling into YouTube success. Here's another invitation. So Yoga Nidra is a huge part of my life, actually. And for those of you who don't know, one of my many career paths was I was a yoga instructor and meditation teacher, and more or less a meditation teacher. And one of my favorite modalities is Yoga Nidra, which I found through YouTube. So the fifth invitation is, just like I told you a minute ago, how I heard a teacher say, consume like an artist. I really enjoy YouTube as a tool for my own personal development. And Yoga Nidra is something I wouldn't have known about had it not been for YouTube. I wouldn't have been able to meet my own personal teachers, Stephanie Lopez and Richard Miller of the IRS Institute, had I not been on YouTube. So curate a really good feed on YouTube. And when you're watching YouTube, watch it from the creator's eye. So there's always a part of me, and I can't undo this, where I'm watching YouTube and I'm actually watching it as a viewer, but also half of me is watching it as a creator. So that kind of informs, like, for instance, there's a great meditation teacher here called Dr. Melissa West. She's great. And I really like the way that she's just always herself. She doesn't have all that much of an audience, but the audience she does have, I'm one of her audience members. We really love her, and she's so connected with her students, and she's really heartfelt. So anyway, I take inspiration from the creators that I'm following in my own unique way. And so curate your feed and follow people that you admire. Be careful of following people in your own field, though. I don't usually follow people in my own field because I don't want it to feel like I'm copying other people. It gets in your subconscious. So for like a lot of my cooking videos, for the first half of my YouTube career, I was doing cooking videos and fitness videos. I didn't follow or watch basically a single cooking video on YouTube because I wanted my videos to sound so unique. So anyway, that's just a word of advice. But thanks for that, Mendy. Melanie says, it's the same in music. It's never about the technique or excellence. That can add, of course, but by itself, it will never last. It is always about the authentic self, giving oneself. Yeah, Melanie, that's fascinating to hear. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me. That this is basically like a transcendent kind of principle. And I think we could also call it like the intention, right? The motivation, right? Of the motivation behind whatever it is that we're doing. If we're coming to the whole thing sincerely, it just stands apart from, right. There's plenty of people on YouTube who are technically excellent who, especially here lately, there's plenty of people who have millions of subscribers, but lately they're getting like 5,000 views, 4,000 views. And I think it's not because the algorithms changed so much as we've changed, like the viewer has changed, and that we don't want to be, what's the word? It's like condescended to. It's like condescending to try to manipulate the audience to try to get a view for your self-validation. We can tell it, we can smell it, we can feel it, we can sense it. But when, like you said, when a musician's on the stage just pouring their heart into the music, you can feel that there's something to it. And same thing with YouTube channels. If you come to your channel and you feel into sincerity and you feel into like really giving whatever it is in your heart to give, and you give it authentically, I think the audience really picks up on that for sure. I really just want to thank you for who you are beyond all the wisdom you offer. Your energy is warm and a reminder of goddess and love and hope. Just hearing your voice makes me feel better. That's really sweet, Mendy. That's really sweet. Thank you so much for that. And Mendy's a fellow yogi. So yogi, recognize yogi. Thank you very much for that. Namaste. The light in me sees the light in you. Okay, so I wanted to also share a book that I've shared so many times on this channel. And this is part of feeling your way into the whole thing, feeling your way into YouTube success. My intuitive method, and I've talked about this, and this is kind of something people don't believe me on, but I'm on my third notebook this year. I just started my third notebook, and I do something called morning pages every day. And this is something I started doing, I don't know, like 14 years ago, 13 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but I do know that it's changed my life. And the book that I wanted to show you all is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And many of you have already seen me talk about this book, but I can't do a video about feeling your way into YouTube success without addressing this book. My copy's seen some better days. It's come with me through like 6 different moves. It's something I usually travel with this book, even though I don't ever read it. It's just having it with me. If I feel that there's like such an energy to this book and to all of her books. By the way, Julia Cameron is an amazing artist's muse and creative muse. And if you're in business and you want to start making great money, this is a great book to read. I think this is actually a better business book than almost any business book out there. I know that's a bold statement, but here's why. She's got something called the morning pages. And the morning pages is the practice of coming to the page every day and writing 3 longhand pages every day, no matter what. And you're just writing stream of consciousness. And so here's how it looks for me. How it looks for me is I'm writing out the same things many times over and over again every day. So if I have something rattling around in my brain, like for instance, before I started teaching about business, I had it rattling around in my brain that I knew I needed to change what I was talking about because for whatever reason, it just wasn't quite clicking the way that I know it could have been clicking when I was talking about meditation and spirituality, which is so puzzling because it's my all-time, like in here in my heart. It's really a topic that brings me so much joy to learn about. But as far as teaching goes, I think I just was not ready or I don't know exactly. It's not up to me to figure it out. I just knew the energy wasn't there. I wasn't feeling that peaceful, joyful effervescence with it. And when I sat down to write in my notebooks every morning, it was the same things coming up over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, talking about business and YouTube. And I thought there's no way in hell that I'm going to teach about business and YouTube. But when I started writing out, what could I talk about? Let me just write out every day for like a couple weeks there. I was taking the morning pages and getting my mind clear. And it just filters out all the junk and gets your mind crystal clear on what's actually going to line up. It helps you feel into what's going on up there. So without these pages, I don't know where I'd be in my life. Because I don't know about you guys. Let me know if you feel this way. But sometimes I'm mindful, But sometimes my thoughts are hiding way back there and the day-to-day stuff is right here. So the thoughts that I'm usually thinking about, it's like, I got to go to the gym. I got to do this. I got to do that. But the thoughts about my life's work, they're so far back there in the subconscious sometimes that I have to actually sit down in the morning to know what I'm even thinking about. So you probably have, if you don't yet have a morning page practice, and you don't yet have an established YouTube channel that's getting viewership yet, there's a really good chance you don't yet have clarity in your body, mind, and spirit. And a really great practice for getting clarity on what's going on up here and connecting your mind, like hooking your mind into your higher self, is getting these morning pages done. 3 longhand pages every day, no matter what. You can even just start with 1 page. But once again, you're just writing down, basically, when you start out, you're going to be writing out the same goddamn stuff every morning. You're going to say, like, Reel, she's been sharing with us this session. Reel's pages might look something like, I'm so stuck. I wish I could do something that makes me feel joyful and brings me profits. I'm so stuck. I wish I could do something that makes me feel joyful and brings me profits. And it will be that for about 3 days. And then finally her brain will get so damn sick of having this problem come up. It'll say, okay, well, if I did have a product and a YouTube channel that made me feel joyful and brought profits, what would that look like? And you start to brainstorm. And eventually it's like this perfect flow that's coming through, and the channel becomes clear, and your morning pages start to become these pockets of magic where you're like, oh my God. And you don't have to come up with ideas, because your morning pages will have such great content in there. Every morning, there's probably going to be at least a gem. And even if there's not a gem, now your brain's clear so that gems can come up. Okay, so this is a major one for feeling into YouTube success. Also, this is so important. I know this is going to be a long one, but man, I'm so passionate about this. So as you're writing in your pages, you're actually flexing the language centers in your brain. Okay. And if you have a strong language center in your brain, it makes you a really good communicator. And when we're talking about online business, if you can convey what your ideas are and your solutions are in the written word and even in the spoken word, I don't know, there's no statistics on this, but I'm just willing to bet that your profits will double. Being a really good communicator and having a really strong language center, it's one of your superpowers as an online business owner, because we're talking newsletters, we're talking headlines, we're talking live videos, we're talking your YouTube channel, we're talking maybe if you do live events and all that stuff. Getting your language centers really strong and helping your brain to think in clear ways will just help you maneuver through this whole game in a way that just feels so much more fun. Otherwise, at least for me, this is how it feels for me when I'm not doing the pages. It feels like there's a bunch of clouds up here and I can't quite see through them. And I know that there's like vague ideas, and I'm like kind of going like this, and I'm like, I think I have a vague idea. Maybe I might want to talk about intuition. It's just all so intangible. And it really helps me to think way clearer when I have my pen to my paper in the morning, every morning. Like for instance, yesterday here, I had just a bunch of bullet points, ideas, current events, creativity in depth, books, prosperity. It doesn't look like much when I'm reading it back, but it is actually, something. It's tangible. I'm going to do it. Yeah, Reel, definitely. So anybody who I just sold, I might have sold you. If I sold you on that, I recommend you get the Artist Way. And this is actually like a journey that you can do every year over and over and over again. And in the Artist Way, there's a little thing called morning pages. So she gives you an outline of the basic principles. Once again, you can see how dirty my book is, but she gives you an outline of the practice, and she walks you through exactly how to do the morning pages. Read the reviews also. If you're not quite sold on it yet, just go to Amazon and read the reviews of the morning pages. I have not met a single person who's done the morning pages whose life hasn't been changed and transformed by the morning pages. One final thing, side note, almost every business owner, not every, but like many business owners, many big business owners have done the morning pages and swear by it. Tim Ferriss being one of them. I didn't know that when I started it, but apparently this is like a huge tool for lots of powerful business owners. Okay, the final invitation that I'm going to, Reel says, I'm realizing as you're talking that I have plenty of ideas coming through. It's my podcast that needs to be changed. Yeah, and also keeping track of your ideas, like writing them down in the morning pages really helps. But here's another important thing about that. I'm going to leave that up on the screen. So it's funny because we think sometimes as we're doing the creative process, we assume it's going to be linear. So if you're here now and or if you're watching the replay and you have some uncertainty about your channel, your podcast, your newsletter, your products, whatever, if it's not yet solidified, I believe that this whole thing is not solid. It's crazy to think that it could be solid. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with if we wake up one day and we say, yeah, I need to change the format of the podcast. To feel anything bad about that, it's just like this unnecessary bit of stress that we tend to add. This is a learned behavior that I unlearned this by having mentors and business teachers and coaches who I learned all of them have parts of their business that are in flux and constantly transfiguring and transforming. So there's a really small chance that your business will ever get to a point where it's all just like a solid thing. In fact, I believe that once you get to that place where your business is like a solid thing, your podcast is solid, your YouTube channel is solid, that it's not growing anymore. So think of it as like this amorphous kind of liquidy thing that you can make adjustments on it. It's a breathing, living thing. So yeah, change up your podcast. If you feel called to change up your YouTube format, change it up. If you feel like maybe I shouldn't be doing talking head videos, maybe I should be doing more XYZ, instead of like rocking back and forth and biting our nails about it, which is what a lot of us do, myself included, just try something new. There's no real risk here. The cool thing about YouTube and podcasting is if nobody clicks on that video, it's not like it matters. The next video could have 170,000 views or something. There's a lot of creative freedom. One of the best things about YouTube and podcasting and modern technology is that there's an infinite leeway of grace that your audience will give you so long as you're not an asshole, so long as you're not doing stupid things and being rude or whatever, getting into controversies with which I'm sure nobody here will be doing anytime soon. But most of the time, 99.9% of the time, if you have a couple videos that don't do well, the format doesn't work out, it's not like YouTube puts you in a timeout where your videos get into purgatory and you're never viewed again. YouTube wants your channel to succeed. YouTube is the best business partner you could possibly have. And then you just do a different format, try something new, try a different headline. You know what I mean? So hope that helps. What are your thoughts on overcoming effort to avoid effort? Overcoming effort to avoid effort. What are your thoughts on overcoming effort to avoid effort? I like that question because it's kind of confusing me right now. What are your thoughts on overcoming effort to avoid effort? If you could let me know a little bit, like give me an example of that so I can answer it. But for right now, this is like a koan and it's kind of massaging my brain, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure that I'll watch this back and be like, of course, that's what they meant. But I Tell me an example of this. Doing things instead of what you really know you should be doing. Doing things instead of what you really know you should be doing. So procrastinating, is it kind of like procrastinating? Kind of like I'm feeling into the question. Is it, and are you referring kind of to procrastination? Yeah, I'm going to assume that it's kind of like procrastination. So here's my take on it. Procrastination with distractions. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but well, number one, here's something that really is helpful is having projects that you actually are excited to do and having work that you're really excited to do. Now that's one part of it, because sometimes we're procrastinating and distracting because we're not really enjoying the work that we're doing or the tasks that we're doing. And so if we're talking online business, this is just one part of the answer. If we're talking online business and you're like, oh, I really don't want to XYZ. I had last week, I had some stuff with KPIs, which even just saying that I could melt, in my chair. If you want to watch me just melt and dissolve me, just talk about spreadsheets and KPIs and numbers and statistics. But I had to set up a KPI dashboard for my business. And so I was sitting there trying to figure out, I hired somebody to help me with it, and we were working on the stuff. And when you get me into numbers and analytics and KPIs, it makes me weak. Okay. It's like, if you want my Achilles heel, just talk math to me. Okay. Ask me to do some math. But I was procrastinating an awful lot about that whole thing because I really, 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 with 10,000 L's, didn't want to do it. And in that case, I realized I need to just hire somebody totally to just do that. And that's what I ended up doing because I kept procrastinating, and something that should have taken maybe 2 days was taking like 10 because I was procrastinating on it. So I ended up hiring somebody who was really good with all of that stuff to work with the other person I hired so they could work it out amongst themselves, because I didn't want to deal with any of it. I'm happy to pop in and say, okay, explain to me what you guys did here. I'll give an hour of my time. And that way I don't have to procrastinate. So procrastination is sometimes an indicator that you need to hire some help. If you can't hire some help, you're going to have to bite the bullet and just scrap yourself and make yourself do the stuff, which I'm also intimately familiar with. In the first half of my business, I was just a total control freak, doing everything and never giving away the stuff that I really hated. So delegate the stuff that you can't do. And if you can't afford it to hire help, you're just going to have to scrap yourself and do it. Now, that's the first half of my answer, is hire help to do the things that you're procrastinating on because you hate doing them. The second part of my answer is procrastination as a lack of discipline and I don't want this to be a make wrong. It's not, because it's a very human thing to just be hesitating. And the lack of discipline being you're allowing fear of failure most of the time. It's a fear of something. And usually it's a fear of failure, a fear of being seen. It's just a lot of fear. So you're allowing fear to dictate what you're doing. That's the other half of procrastination. So the one side, it's a valid clue that you shouldn't be doing the thing anyway. The other side is that you're overcome with fear and you're letting it paralyze you and distract you. And that requires feeling into fear and letting fear be there, allowing fear to be there, dancing with the fear, being okay with being afraid, sitting with uncomfortable feelings. And that's a discipline. That's a practice. And for that, I'm going to take you and point you to meditation. So a daily meditation practice of like 10 minutes, sitting with the uncomfortable feelings and letting them be felt, not trying to avoid them, change them, fix them, or anything. But you're honestly just sitting in discomfort. And sometimes in dread, sometimes in fear, saying, here's fear. Here it is in my chest. And just being okay with feeling fear. And when you allow yourself to be afraid and you get into the habit of doing that in meditation, then when you sit in front of your laptop and you're like, okay, time to get to work. Time to turn this camera on. You feeling some fear. Now the meditation practice, the practice part comes in. What you've actually been practicing is to move through your life in a way that gives you equanimity and basically equanimity and being capable to handle emotions. So I hope that makes sense. And I wanted to also point out that, who is it? Where is it? Reading Rainbow said she's been doing morning pages for 5 years. Amazing. And I'm having difficulty with charging money. My service is for moms facing medical trauma and anxiety. And it keeps feeling like everyone will view me as trying to capitalize on their emotions. Yeah. The difficulty with charging money, regardless of what you're actually like working with, that's a really hard thing to unlearn, especially when you're talking about something like moms facing medical trauma and anxiety. I wonder what you mean by medical trauma, though, but not that it matters. It doesn't matter. There are doctors who, for instance, I'm just going to point you to the fact that there are pediatric doctors who save lives of children every day. And there are emergency room doctors who save lives every day. And there are all kinds of miracle workers in the world who are saving lives in various ways. Psychiatrists who save people from committing self-harm every day. And those people get paid. And if those people didn't get paid, they wouldn't be able to do that work. And so that's a frame I'm offering you. But beyond that frame, the personal work of your figuring out why it is, of all the thoughts that you could ascribe and hook onto, that your ego chose, this isn't a make wrong, but your ego chose to hook onto a fear of what people might think of you. That's actually the bigger question here, is what is it? What is the pattern in you that turns to that question? What is the pattern here? If you could talk to that pattern that chose to focus on what if people think I'm XYZ? What if people think I'm not a good person? The more interesting question to me is, why does that matter? You have people to help. Once again, this is not a make wrong, and this isn't me telling you that your thoughts aren't valid. It's more an exploration of what the patterns within you are kind of pointing to. And they're pointing to me that for some reason your worry about what people are going to think of you is a little bit more important than you doing your life's work. What is that stemming from? And also, now the last part of it is having some agency, making a conscious choice to no longer allow that pattern to run the show. Hopefully that helps. I'm a procrastinator. Yeah, a lot of us are. I just wonder when. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't read it. Happy Thanksgiving. You too. The flag of one particular country in the very middle is interesting. Mountain. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm sorry. It's okay, Mandy. Tell us your messages on camera. Once we'll respond, feel less awkward. I feel like I have to share something with the world, but every time I click record in front of a camera, I feel like a complete fraud. It doesn't feel real. It feels fake. Any thoughts? Yeah, that's an interesting question. So first of all, feels like a fraud. That's actually a thought. This is actually, it seems like semantics, but it's really not. So I feel like a fraud. That's actually not a feeling. Hopefully you catch my drift there. Feels like a fraud. That's actually a thought. Okay, so that's the first thing. So I have a thought every time I get in front of the camera that, I am a fraud. There's something about it but if we go into the feeling tone of it, of what is actually being felt, there's probably just a fear constricting. I'm not going to guess your feelings for you, but I'm not going to place the feelings onto you, but I'm going to just take a guess that there's probably some fear there, constriction. And then you have a thought, I'm a fraud, whatever. The best antidote, by the way, and this is tying in with what we're talking about today, the best antidote for that, the thought, I'm a fraud, and the subsequent feeling of tightness, fear, anxiety, the feeling of just constriction that brings. The best remedy for that is, like I was just kind of telling Reading Rainbow, is turning the light of your consciousness outwards. And I teach about this a lot when I'm doing the YouTube Breakthrough Challenge. It's turning the light of your consciousness this way, just like I'm doing with you guys now. I'm not so worried about, how do I, are they going to like me? I'm more really worried about answering your questions and serving you guys. So if you take the light of your consciousness and you point it out to the person who's going to see your video, even if it's just one person, that really helps to diminish the latching onto, because what you've done is, and Mendy's a yogi, so he's going to catch my drift on this, but everybody else here. So we've got these thoughts happening. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough to be on camera. I don't sound good enough. My voice is annoying. We've got all this thought matter, right? And these are just little clouds floating by. But what ends up happening for a lot of us is we take a thought like, I'm a fraud, and then we hook the light of our consciousness onto that thought. And now it's hooked onto there, and it's stuck in our brain because we've latched onto it. And then it's swirling now around like a tornado. And the light of our consciousness is, I'm a fraud. I feel like a fraud. These videos feel like fraudulent. Let me focus on the fraudulent thought of whatever. Less thinking, unhook the light of your consciousness from the thoughts of your ego mind, especially if they're stirred up by doing your life's work, which is really common when you first start out. You're completely dying to an old version of yourself. So your ego is like doing anything at all to hook you onto these junk thoughts. I'm not good enough. Who am I to talk about this and that? I don't sound good. Come on, consciousness, hook onto these thoughts. Then you're trapped. Instead, just completely shift the light of your consciousness out there and get really obsessed with who you're helping. For every single person in here, there's a person who needs to hear what it is you have to say in your voice. That's just the way that this whole thing is set up. I don't know if you can think back to a time, like even recently, where somebody told you exactly what you needed to hear, and for whatever reason you needed to hear it from that particular person. It's not by accident. There's like a divine design to it. And so anyway, my whole point is you're going to get obsessed with helping whoever it is out there that you're helping. And yeah, I encourage Mendy to get up on YouTube and share your message for sure. Can you please share where you got your necklace from? Sure. I like to go on little hunts for special things, and I have a friend who knows that, and so this was actually a gift from a friend of mine, and this top one is a gift from a friend of mine from a jewelry company called Cleft, CLEFT. And this top one is also from Cleft. So these were gifts. These were gifts from a friend of mine. This was a little kind of celebratory congratulations necklace for a little milestone that I had hit. So I'll have to ask, but it was a gift. And it here in Austin, there's lots of different little jewelry making shops and all of that stuff. So it was probably from a boutique here in Austin. And the line maker is called Cleft. Be a giver instead of a receiver, basically. Beautiful answer. Yeah, good. I'm glad it helped. Tell us about your YouTube Profits program, please. Okay, thank you so much for asking. That was literally that was literally that was on my agenda, but so anyway, YouTube Profits is my all-encompassing online course that helps all business owners who are heart-led trying to maneuver the online business space and build their YouTube channel to do just that. So this is a 6-week program. It takes about 6 weeks to finish it. It takes about 6 months to implement everything, but you actually learn the how-tos of online business. You learn how to build your YouTube channel, how to set it up in a way that feels authentic, more or less honors what we've talked about here. But I do give strategy in there, such as how exactly do you set up your, your whole brand? Like, what is a brand? For those of you who hear the word brand and you think yuck, like, I'm talking a lot about the authentic soul, kind of soulful, soul-led branding. I talk a lot about how to build your monetization strategies, various monetization strategies, how to do a webinar, how to do a podcast, how to turn your YouTube into a podcast, how to do newsletters effectively. So it's kind of a start to finish business program. I could have named it something like online business for the soul-led entrepreneur, but YouTube Profits just seemed more apt. So, and there's also a community feature, which last session, there was a beautiful student in here named Anna Lacomi, and she's one of the students that's in the program, but there's lots of beautiful teachers and business owners in the program. I wanted to create a community space where people had access to each other so that they could talk about what's working and what's not working for them. So it's also kind of like a networking situation. It's not quite a mastermind, but it's also not just like a Facebook community. It's like an actual real deal community where people post videos about here's what's working, here's what's not. I also get in there and do live sessions about once a month. And yeah, so the website brendaturner.com/money is going to tell you more about exactly what you get. The price is going to be going up because I'm kind of redoing the whole thing in 2026. And so right now it's a bananas price at $497, and it's going to be going up in January because we're going to be kind of switching the whole thing up, and it's going to be even more than what it has now. So I'm really excited about it. From the person having trouble charging money. That's funny. We actually also just had a great win in the YouTube Profits community where there was a teacher that came to the community and had a huge breakthrough on YouTube. So he'd been working to try to make his channel work on YouTube for years. And then he came into the YouTube Profits program and he's crushing it. He posted in the community area that he posted a video and it got so much traction, and he's got so many sales for the past like 4 weeks now that his business is finally getting traction. And so and he also was having some struggle with, to your point, he was having some struggle with, when he started with me, he was having struggles with charging for what he's charging for. He helps people to heal. He's a healer. He helps people to heal. And he was having a hard time giving up the free. He had a whole free community and he was doing lots of free consults and free. And I said, you're going to be able to serve them much better if you're actually making money. Do you know? I was like, how much better would you be able to serve these people? Let's say if you had a full day of relaxation because you make enough money that you can do that and run your business properly, And he was like, oh my God, yeah. So he started charging money. He got rid of all of his free stuff. And it's a totally different ballgame for him now. And his customers actually were happy to pay the money that he was asking for. So yeah, I love that you're thinking about that. You're getting it in your mind. You're planting seeds in your own consciousness to start charging. Let's see here. I'm not sure what that question is. So what the world wants to know. I'm not sure what that means. Yes. Lots of service, not charging much at all. Yeah. So here's the problem with that. And here's why I'm not a fan of free Facebook groups. I'm personally not. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing for everybody. There's not one right or wrong path for this. But I don't love the idea of over giving and not charging anything, because it then creates this really interesting dynamic that's not so healthy, where there's like, you can't help but be stretched super thin. And it's not as though like we don't say it out loud. It's not like you're saying out loud, I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of and I don't feel like I'm being adequately compensated for the services I'm providing. You're not saying that out loud, but if it's the truth, if you're truly not being compensated, not that it's their fault, but if you're not being adequately compensated for your services, for the transformation you're providing, for what you're giving people, there is just this energetic vortex that kind of infiltrates your whole business. And it's really hard to separate the energetics in your business. Like, if there's a part of your business that is making a little bit of money, make no mistake about it, this energetic vortex of overgiving and inadequate compensation is impacting the entirety of the business. It's also impacting your content. It's impacting your energy levels. It's impacting your effectiveness in your business, because it's draining your energy. And so it's really important that we honor the energetics in our business. And energetic hygiene in the business, meaning money is energy, and giving is energy, and receiving is energy. So if you're not receiving for what you're giving, then you're getting drained. And that's not so much a business as much as it is kind of a liability and an energetic drain. And that's not nice for anybody, including the customers that I'm sure love your work and love what you teach. I personally, let me know what you think about this. And this also might help you, is when somebody provides a service to me, I'm happy to pay them. Like, I want to pay them like the great service providers of all kinds, my hairstylists, I don't know, therapists, psychics, energy healers. Like, if you ever go to somebody, they're really good. I'm happy to pay those people because they've helped me. And it doesn't feel great to me when somebody's like, oh, no. Like, that's happened to me a few times. Oh, no, don't worry about it. It's free. Like, it's nice if it happens, but there's something in me that's like, no, here, I want to pay you. So hopefully that kind of exercise can help you also. Can you also share with us your manifestation technique? How do you deal with doubts during the manifestation process? Yeah, so I have a video about manifestation. I don't really so much care about the law of attraction manifestation process. Feeling into success for me, and what I found to be a very helpful manifestation technique is, first of all, getting my mind, body, and spirit in alignment to what actually will serve me. I think a lot of people are trying to manifest things that don't really serve them. And I had plenty of experience with that. But once I get in alignment with what actually will serve me, then I'm not really so much trying to manifest. The best things that are for me, actually, it's like a natural unfolding. So that's kind of my approach to the whole thing. And do I sometimes focus on what I actually want to happen? Yeah. And then I open up my Asana and I write in my project manager what I want to happen. And then I write in the steps that I need to take to get those done. And there's no manifestation technique in the world that will trump what I just gave you. There's a video on my channel called Content Planning, 6-Figure Content Planning, I think it's called. Watch that, and that'll kind of give you the play-by-play. Heading to sleep. Good night, Mendy. Yes, because paying feels like I'm contributing. Exactly, Valentina. Exactly. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Gold Surfer. Is it okay to give away more free things in the beginning in order to grow an email subscribe list? That's a really good question, Maria. And everybody go check out Maria's channel. Maria's an excellent teacher. She's just starting out on her journey. And everybody should check out Maria's channel. That's a really good question. I don't think it's either or. I think we should always have a freemium to give away. So I think having a free offer that's a signature free offer running 24/7, 365 is something we should always have. And I think maybe having maybe a couple of those things are a really good strategy. And that's and also having things for sale. That's kind of where I'm at with it, is having both. The free things, we should always be giving some kind of something to opt in, for people to opt into, and then always having something that people can buy. Aside from my free and low paying offers, I've also put on an offer for a complimentary coaching call with me for anyone that downloads my free or low pay offer as further incentive. Yeah, so feeling into that, I think it's going to be valuable to try it out and see how it feels. Feeling into how that feels after you've done a couple of those, you might want to adjust, okay, a complimentary session might be 20 minutes. You might also feel a complimentary session of even 60 minutes feels great. You might also feel that when you're doing any complimentary sessions, it makes you feel constricted and it doesn't feel in alignment. Going back to the whole theme of this session about feeling into the success. If something feels heavy, draining, constricting, that's not arbitrary. We get those feelings as clues, as kind of guideposts. And we have to just honor that. So go into feeling how that feels. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer for this. There's some coaches who do that and who swear by it. Rich Livkin, he's a huge proponent of doing that. There are plenty of coaches who are a proponent of doing that. And then there's some coaches who, like Steve Hardison, you can't get a session with Steve Hardison unless you pay $2,000, and that's his like free session. And his one year commitment is $100,000, and his like first session, if you want to do like a kind of consult, that's a $2,000 situation. Another alternative to that I'm going to offer anybody here who happens to be a coach is filming some group coaching sessions and or your free consult sessions, saying, here's a free consult. If you're willing for me to film it, this is like a $500 value or $1,000 value. I'm happy to do this for free if I can film it. And then you post it on your YouTube channel. And that way people can get a taste of what it's like to work with you. You can put that on your, work with me page, little sample. And that gives people an idea of what it's like to work with you. Joe Hudson, his channel, I've talked about him before in my community. Joe Hudson does a great job of this. He does a free Sangha session. I think he does it like once a month, where he'll give people coaching for free. And then he posts it on his YouTube channel. And I think that single-handedly has probably tripled his revenue and grown his business to an extremely fast and huge degree. So that's an alternative. Hopefully that helps. Okay, everybody. So I just saw we're almost at time. I am going to wrap up really quick and just let you guys know that the YouTube Profits Program, like I was saying, the YouTube Profits Program is still open for enrollment. It is going to be closing for enrollment soon. I'm most likely going to be closing enrollment for the YouTube Profits Program very soon. And when it reopens in 2026, it's going to be reopening at a much higher price than it is now. But if you join before the end of 2025, you'll be locked in at that price for the next 12 months. So BrendaTurner.com/money if you'd like to grow your online business and your YouTube channel in 2026. If you want to get off of Instagram and start getting onto YouTube and growing your YouTube channel, come and join us. in the community and enjoy all instant access to all the huge curriculum. It's a 6-week curriculum, start to finish curriculum on online business and YouTube, plus the podcasting suite, plus the live event suite that takes you start to finish on how to build a webinar, plus the community area. And I'm sure there's some bonuses in there that I'm missing because there's so much to the program. But I think this is my own tooting my own horn. I think it's the best. I wouldn't say this if I didn't believe it, but of course I believe this, that it's the best online business course and program and community on the internet, period. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so good seeing you. Thanks, Eternal Flow. Thanks to Reading Rainbow, and thanks to Valentina. Thanks to everybody who came out live. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It was great seeing you today, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.